Welcome to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast with your hosts, Mike Randall and Gus Kearns.
Welcome in, listeners, to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast, where we're always talking everything college hoops. You could have been anywhere else on the dial, but you chose to be here with us, Mike and Gus. Mike, we are deep into this tournament. Somehow it happened, but I'm enjoying the slow burn that is March. Mike, is there anything you want to gloat about for your initial round into the Sweet 16, or is there something else that you'd like to maybe even complain about?
Gloat. I want to thank God for today's recovery. Folks, I've been hitting at 57%, all documented in the Action app, gained 170 units over 14 months, as good as I've done so far ever. And we've entered the NCAA Tournament, Gus. Thursday, brutal finish. I think it was like 5-11. Okay. And you're like, okay, fine. Friday comes 500, even Steven, 8-8, very vanilla, hit some props, lost a couple. So like 500 day. And then yesterday was an abject disaster. Just awful from start to finish. I mean, you name it, I got it wrong. Thank God for UCLA against St. Mary's, because that may have just put me over the edge. But today, my friend, we've responded in a huge way and have felt locked in all day long and had a great day. So it giveth, it taketh away. I get it. We just want to be 53% because that's what the numbers say. I get it. But my friend, Saturday was rough, but today was great. And here we are again.
And I think that we should just run down Saturday if it's not too painful.
Now let's do it. The listeners will love it. It was just horrific. Yes, please go ahead.
All right. So I think we have to start in the original starting point for Saturday, where our buddy Jared Kohler, who we've talked to from the Connecticut Scoreboard podcast for UConn, I saw one of his tweets where he said, "I can't believe they put this as a standalone game. We need an option, or like this game stinks," and it ends up being an overtime classic. And I don't know, Mike. Where should we start here? Do we go with the officiating? Do we go with the transformation that is UNC? Or do we say, Baylor was going to get bitten at some point because of the roster and the injuries? Where do we go first here?
Well, partner, I'm going to tell you, I had take lock on UNC. I admit it. I had take lock. Sometimes you want to have an opinion on a team and you want to stick with it. And sometimes you have to be Bayesian in your process and take new information. And North Carolina, I had take lock. I didn't think it through, and it bit me because this is not – I didn't like North Carolina to start the year for all the reasons we discussed. But then something happened. About halfway through the year, Hubert figured it out and went with his guys. Right when they were 12-6, 4-3 in conference, lost to Miami, lost to Wake Forest. From that point on, bang, Virginia Tech, Boston College, NC State, Louisville in overtime, big win. Loses to Duke by 20. Clemson, Florida State loses to Pitt at home. That also, Gus, threw me off the scent a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a game that people might pin on their map as like, how do you navigate UNC? Yeah.
Yep. But they won 5 in a row to end the year. They beat a good Virginia team by 20. Never easy. Lost to Virginia Tech. Then they smoked Marquette. And I should have realized Armando Bacot, thank you for the over on your 12.5 rebounds, is going to be able to get some boards. I should have also realized that Flagler was not totally healthy. LJ Cryer is out. There was a lot of warning signs with Baylor. And you and I have talked about how the 8-9 game is always frisky, yada, yada, yada. My fault. I had take lock. So I bet you had a better read on this game than I did because like 5 minutes in, I go, bad pick. I could just tell we're hitting threes. They're firing shots all over the place. RJ Davis is on fire. Manic is doing this with his hands. The parents. It's a bad pick. It was a bad pick. North Carolina took out Baylor. They were the better team. They gave it back late. I thought that was going to happen early, and it didn't. Great win for Hubert Davis. Great win for North Carolina. Baylor, great comeback. Would have been the greatest comeback in NCAA tournament history. I believe we're tied at 25 points. But in the end, 5.5, no bueno. UNC wins outright.
And my two takeaways from this, just to follow up with what you said beautifully, is that, okay, yeah, UNC is good again. And the reason that they're good again is because the roles are defined in cement.
Excellent.
Everybody knows what they're doing. And everybody expects and doesn't expect exactly what's going to come down the pike each and every game.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys know that they're going to play 38 minutes, and they know that they're going to get, maybe a minute or two there, and the bench players are fine with it. They're along for the ride. And then the second takeaway, I think, is Baylor's tough as nails. Scott Drew's an amazing coach.
Yep.
I don't know if you can take away somebody's leading scorer, take away a starter from a championship team that's anchoring your defense, which is one of your hallmarks, and then figure out how to get a 1 seed and then almost have one of the greatest comebacks of all time in March Madness history. So those are my 2 quick takeaways from that. I mean, I don't know what else, if you have anything else on your mind or anything that your eyes viewed.
Nope. And I wish I had the Joker gif, because that was, and here we go. Moving on. Next game.
All right, let's go Creighton, Kansas. And I feel like I had a good read on this. And because, we had the privilege of going to see the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden, and seeing something in person sometimes really helps clarify where your stance is. And it clarified to me that this Creighton team had a little something figured out, and they unlocked a few things that were in previous categories. And now that Kaluma was going to be the stud, he was going to be the bucket getter. He was very fine. He was very comfortable in that role. They did point guard a little bit by committee, with Alexander and O'Connell. They shot the ball with confidence from 3, and even losing the Defensive Player of the Year, Kalkbrenner, from the Big East, they played live against Kansas. Super impressive.
Yeah. Creighton this year's cost me a lot of money. Went out to dinner with Dr. Tony and his wife earlier this year, hammering Nebraska at home. I believe getting a couple points against Creighton. Blew that one back on November 16th. Creighton this year, Gus, 30.8%, 305th in the country in 3-point shooting percentage. They're very young. We talked to John Nyatawa, said it's the greatest recruiting class in Creighton history. They are 309th in experience, very young team. They lose Nembhard, they lose Kalkbrenner, but the line didn't move that much, which should have woke me up, because, of course, there's always Bill Self doing Bill Self stuff. And 5 minutes in, partner, Kaluma for 3, Hawkins for 3, O'Connell for 3. I said I'm toasted. I didn't read it right. They had nothing to lose. McDermott is a great coach. Kansas got a little tight. And, of course, Casper, the friendly ghost, Ochai Abaji, let the game come to me. Non-existent till late, and the game hits his unders on the prop. He just doesn't take games over. Maybe he will at the next level. Looks very Wayne Selden to me. Whatever. He's got to get his team on his back. But this is a well-coached Creighton team. They turn the ball over a lot. They don't force a lot of turnovers. Doesn't really matter. 12 of 28 from 3-point range, Gus, for a team that shot 300 something in the country this year. But you were right. We went to the game with Dr. Tony. We should have saw this coming. You did. I didn't. And here we go.
Kansas moves on. And I still think that they are dangerous, especially what's happened and unfolded within their bracket here. All right, Mike, what about Michigan and Tennessee?
Yeah.
I was wrong here. I was very on Tennessee in this particular game and in this particular bracket, to be honest. And Michigan is one of those teams that needed to hit the reset button and start anew, much like Duke, much like LSU. That didn't work for them. But some of these teams look forward to just having the slate cleaned off, and Michigan definitely fits the bill there.
Still not buying Michigan. But I didn't like, partner, right in front of this game. It's like 85% of the handle and 80% of the bets were on Tennessee. I heard that. I said, this isn't going to be good. Tennessee got up. They were able to move ahead. They could not put them away. Tennessee's issue is they don't have a go-to guy. I love their players. I love their team. Josiah Jordan-James had 13 points early in the second half. I took his under on his props, 13.5. He ended with 13. Kennedy Chandler is a wonderful player. You saw him hugging with Juwan Howard after the game. Love Kennedy Chandler, tremendous. But they didn't have a go-to guy. Only 2 guys partner in doubles in this entire game. You score 68 points. Only Jordan James and Chandler had 32 of them. Everybody else in single digits. That's a problem. On the other side, Hunter Dickinson turns into Manute Bol. He's banging threes. He's 3 of 5 from 3-point range. Grabs 11 boards. Does a great job. And then we have some people chipping in threes. Eli Brooks gives 2 here. Terrence Williams gives 1. They got it going. halftime of the Colorado State game, partner. They got it going. I still don't like them. I'm going to fade them again. Thank you, Take Lock. But it's a great win. And Tennessee was super hot. The one thing we worried about is can they execute late in a close game, and they could not.
They did not. And I think my two takeaways from this are hello to Frankie Collins.
Yeah.
6'1" freshman played 30-plus minutes in both of their wins.
Yes.
And again, when you extract like your starting point guard, that's supposed to matter. He made it not matter. Yep. So we saw what kind of talent level he is. And you know what? To be honest, like I felt like after watching those two games, he was more impactful than like Caleb Houston.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
As far as like contributing to wins. And then the second part of that also is the Tennessee side. I kind of thought that Tennessee might have something rolling here that with those three guards that was similar to Baylor last year and their defensive prowess, again, similar to Baylor last year. One difference. No go-to guy like you illustrated. And also, I think we have to pay attention to the bench.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's clear that Barnes schemed Houston out of the game. He's been schemed out now twice. He looked so good earlier in the year. 32 minutes and no points, 0 of 1 from 2-point range. Guys, how is that possible for a player as talented as Caleb Houston? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Michigan gets the win and they move on. They're playing Nova. Hey, all right. And let's continue.
And a team that you have close connections with, and maybe we're on a little bit, Providence, beat my Richmond Spiders. Love that Richmond got that initial win. Unbelievably fantastic way that they took down Iowa. But Providence, like everybody had, I'm sure, into the Sweet 16. That might have been like the little blow-up bracket / pod that I think many people had. But I don't. Providence just looked the part. And I mean, Horkler with, is averaging a double-double in the tournament right now. They look great.
Yep. This game was over really quick. I took Richmond in the points. Jacob Gilliard. I don't think Gilliard had a chance to do anything because right off the bat, Al Durham for 3, Horkler for 3, Horkler for 3, Minaya for 3. The game's over. Yep. Richmond is not constructed. They did have the amazing comeback against Dayton, but I do think that was Malachi Smith aided. It's not that they can't. It's just that Providence, if they make their threes, they're going to be tough because Horkler and Watson did a decent job. Grant Golden's not great inside. He's functional for Richmond, but they just got up by too much, and then they control the game. Look, I think, Gus, this is going to be a phenomenal game against Kansas. I'm already telling you I'm grabbing the points. Do with that as you may, everybody, by the way. But I love it. I think Providence is going to either win this game or go down swinging. This is not going to be a blowout. They are legit. They have the mojo, had a bad game there against Creighton. It happens, but came back, beat a good South Dakota State team, pounded Richmond. They're with house money now. Won the regular season title, first one in Providence history, won a game in the Big East tournament, made a Sweet 16, house money. Dangerous against our good friend Bill Self.
Your good friend, Bill Self. All right, Mike. West Coast special, UCLA, St. Mary's. Thought this one would end up a little bit tighter than it did. Felt like that UCLA might get caught up in that St. Mary's slow down pace. And then, of course, we had, some injury issues with UCLA as well. But UCLA pulls away 72-56. I still like this UCLA team. I love their construction. And they've done it in recent history. The bracket has really opened up for them on their side.
Yeah, and listen, St. Mary's did much better than I thought they would. Randy Bennett's a superior coach. St. Mary's did great, and in the end, the win over Gonzaga meant a win over Gonzaga, and that should have really, I should have paid more attention to that. They, in the first round, just absolutely destroyed Indiana, took care of that. Playing game always gets hot, but I guess Notre Dame took care of that. Then they play UCLA. My issue with this game and why I finally got a game right was I know that St. Mary's wants you to take difficult twos. Their defense is structured, but that's what UCLA wants to do. Juzang and Jaquez, they love pull-up shots. I mean, Johnny Juzang was living on the pull-up jumper. So I just thought that in the end, much like Michigan, you said, got it together, I thought UCLA would get it together and pull away, and they did. And now we have the Bruins here playing against North Carolina. What a contrast in styles there. It's going to be fun. But yes, St. Mary's, excellent job by Randy Bennett. Matthias Tassis is not a talented team. Tommy Kuzi played great. Love also, by the way, for them, really, I underrated him all year. Logan Johnson with just some tremendous takes to the basket.
Big time athlete.
And Dukas makes his threes. Great job. But yes, UCLA got it going. Now they're going to be dangerous.
I think they're very dangerous moving forward as long as their health holds together. All right, and then the Muss Bus rolls back into the Sweet 16, takes down a very dangerous New Mexico State team coached by the now departed Chris Jans, but they have that unbelievably talented backcourt with Teddy Allen and Rice. And McCants came to play. Like he wasn't afraid, but the Muss Bus and Notre get it rolling and move into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, almost a cover here. I think it was 6.5, and they ended up winning by 5, which is fine. Yep. Great job by Jans. They were down early and came back. Hard to do against Arkansas. I thought it was a brilliant defensive game plan by Musselman. He actually put a lot of pressure and was willing to play a slow pace here. McCants got 16 points. Teddy Allen got 12, but Teddy Allen only got it on 3 of 10 from the 2-point range. And Jabari Rice, a guy who could really wreck a game from 3-point range, only 1 of 5, and everything came from beyond the arc. That was the key. Notre with 18, Jalen Williams with 10, and away we go. I think it's a phenomenal game against Gonzaga. Right now, I have to analyze it, but I do like Arkansas a little bit better. I just think it's great. And I think what great job by Musk, great job by Jans. Where do you go? Mississippi State, I think he's in Mississippi State.
Yeah, he took over for Allen.
Yeah, good guy, great guy, and great game. And they didn't cover, but it was close.
Very close. And then the last part about that is we have to mention Williams. Williams did a great job on the interior, rebounding the ball and being efficient as usual. Sure. And then hometown Peacocks get it done. I mean, I don't even know where to kind of start with this because of the Kentucky, game previously. But good golly, what a story! What a team! You go first, I'll go second. I have a couple of things on the Peacocks, of course.
Shaheen Holloway has done a masterful job at St. Peter's. They went 10-22, 18-12 in 2020, and really were a team that they were 14-6 in the MAC that year. They were actually 1 game behind Siena. So really liked St. Peter's coming into the COVID year of 2021, but they struggled. They struggled with the pauses. They threw us off the scent, only 14-11, 10-8 in conference. This year they come out 14-6, and the defense is legit. You've talked about Casey and Defo inside. Banks is flammable. Who doesn't love Doug Eggert for 3? Just a great job. I love them against Murray State. I thought 8 was crazy. I thought the points were way too much. Murray State, love what they do, but they were cramping up. They had a massive battle there to get by at the end against San Francisco, and now they have to turn around and play a really solid defensive team that's going to get up and make you guard. They won outright by 10. St. Peter's only 3 of 13 from beyond the arc, but they were 23 of 31. That's 75% from the free throw line. Yep. Just did a great job, and they really clamped down on Murray State. Murray State can give you some turnovers. They did not give a lot. St. Peter's only 10. What a wonderful job. I thought the line was too high. This one was a comfortable cover. Murray State, great year as well. I just think that first game took a lot out of them. The Peacocks are moving on. Shaheen Holloway, Kevin Willard is already encouraging him to take over the Seton Hall job publicly. Amazing job. This is what March is about.
Yeah, the couple of things you mentioned in Defo, like he is such an impactful player on both ends of the floor. I think earlier this season, and even in seasons past, we've mentioned him on the podcast. He 2 seasons ago, he averaged almost 4 blocks a game at 6'7", which is totally insane. So his impact in this particular game against Murray State he was the best player on the floor. 17 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, 6 blocks. Like I don't know what else you want from your star player. And the other part about, and you brought this up and mentioned this with a couple of teams already, I just wanted to highlight this, and I think this is the perfect place to do that, is the reliance on the 3. I don't know if it's the same that it has been in the past. St. Peter's, 3 made threes. Miami, 3 made threes. Yes. Arkansas, 3 made threes. Texas Tech, 4 made threes. Iowa State, 3 made threes. Even UCLA, they only made 4 and only took 9, like you mentioned earlier. Purdue, probably not going to make a bunch of threes. Michigan, only 6 made threes. And Kansas, only 6 made threes. So this reliance and the floor stretching that we've seen in the NBA this year, I mean, correction back to the mean, or maybe defenses are just scheming to take the three-point ball out of play. Yeah, so maybe if you have a great 2-point shooting team like St. Peter's is, and they run great offense, really impressive.
Excellent point about that, partner. I think that teams are recognizing you have to defend the three to win. So it's not surprising to me to see some of the top teams in the country at 3-point defense actually in this tournament right now. You have looked at teams that really lock down from beyond the arc, teams that have been strong. Iowa State, Houston are both in the top 10. St. Peter's is in the top 16. They're still alive. Even if you stay within the top 50, that's also going to include Providence, Kansas, Gonzaga, and Villanova. So I agree. It's a great, astute observation. Teams are not necessarily getting threes. They have to score other ways. And when they can't, you see what happens with some of these upsets.
Yeah, and it just goes back to some of the conversations that you and I have had, but also a conversation we've had with John Gassaway. I feel like a couple of different times where the good two and the teams that shoot the good two at a high percentage are really underrated and find success in March. All right, Mike. Anything else you want to do for Saturday? You're ready to move on to the Sunday games here.
Yes, let's bury this one, partner, in the backyard.
Okay, very good.
A much more enjoyable betting Sunday. Thank you.
Good. All right, let's start where everything started off. We'll start with Ohio State and Villanova. I loved Ohio State in this spot. I was all about fading Villanova. I feel like they are going to win a game or going to win a national title. I felt like this year, like we discussed earlier on the podcast, they were more of the latter, like more of the they're going to win a game, they're good, but I don't know if they're going to make a run for a title. I might still be in that camp, but here they are again, Wildcats into the Sweet 16. Any takeaways from Ohio State and Villanova?
This game reeked to me, is one of the few that I got it wrong today. It reeked to me Villanova wins and Ohio State covers. I mean, I just kept saying that in my head. Liddell having a big game. I know they're not great at defending the three. Ohio State this year, the metrics haven't been great on them. I just thought they would play well. It was a 2-point game with 4 minutes left. I felt good. I felt really good. Kyle Young being back off the concussion was a big help. He played well, had 9 and 7 in the prior game in the win over Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago plays a lot like Villanova, slow-paced, relies on the three, not great on the interior. I'd like the matchup, but it didn't work out. Great win for Villanova. They do what they do. If you're going to beat them, they are the 2-time champion in the last 5 years. If you're going to beat them, you better beat them early because they're going to make free throws late, and that's exactly what they did to eke out this cover here.
That's a great point. And then also you mentioned Young. Young went out with an injury later on in this game, and I think that definitely impacted because Ohio State had brought it within a possession. And then, like you mentioned, very astutely, they pulled away with free throws and just sound decisions, as always. Hey, did you feel like this could have been Coach K's last game? It was right there, right?
This one annoys me. The only one I got wrong today. A bunch of props, good stuff. Over/under is great.
Right.
Yes. The idea that Michigan State didn't cover 7.5 is just blasphemy. They had it. They were winning with 2 minutes left. I mean, you got to figure everything fell apart. They couldn't. They turned the ball over. They couldn't make a shot at the end of the game. They don't.
Well, they couldn't not make a shot. They couldn't even get a shot within their offense. And like Izzo is the king of the quick hitters.
Yes, that's exactly right. And Bencaro got a couple rebounds. And they do a couple things and a couple silly turnovers, but should have absolutely been a cover. Michigan State played great. Izzo phenomenal. I pointed out in the live stream on Betting Pros. Izzo, I have it here. Yeah, Izzo 23-6, Gus, with 1 day rest to prepare.
With a quick turnaround.
80%. Of course, going against Krzyzewski, who's beaten him 12 out of 15 now, 13 out of 16 times.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved the 7.5. Looked good the whole game, and they just fell apart at the end. Tyson Walker actually showed up. He was carrying them. I'm like, this is going to be the Tyson Walker game. Didn't work out.
I was right there with you, and I felt like not only could they have covered, but they had a legit chance to win that game, and they just could not get anything done those last 2 minutes on offense. Oof. Duke moves on to the Sweet 16. All right, one of the surprises, Iowa State beating Wisconsin in Milwaukee, and I think both of us thought this smelled funny, from the start, whether it was going to be that first round against Colgate. I think you were on Colgate covering, and boom, if Johnny Davis doesn't have a good game, guess what? They're in trouble. Like they Iowa State won 2 games last year, and now they have 2 NCAA wins. That's bananas.
This was a believe. Yeah, my pick here was a believe. I love the under as well. The old adage.
Oh, yeah.
Gus, the old adage, you take the over on the highest total and you take the under on the lowest. I mean, that's just, I don't know if that always works, but it fit the narrative here. Wisconsin with a great year, but they're still very young, and I don't like how they ended the year. Nebraska home? Really? Big 10 outright title on the line? Michigan State? It's Michigan State, but one and done there in the tournament. Colgate, you don't cover. And I know the game was in Milwaukee, which is why I actually took Wisconsin, but lost that one by a half point at the end of my weekend. But I thought Iowa State controls tempo. Yep. I didn't trust Wisconsin's offense. We've talked about this all year, that a typical Wisconsin team plays solid defense and shoots the three well. This team is not great on defense and doesn't shoot the three well. Very odd. I thought they could do some things defensively. I like the 3.5 number. Money was piling in on Wisconsin under Otzelberger. Really could get a lot of Coach of the Year votes. I know it's Cooley and a couple of guys, but Otzelberger, the job he's done, they were predicted last in the Big 12. Here they are, Iowa State. Great job, Sweet 16, and they upset Wisconsin. No shame, Wisconsin, a solid year, but playing at home on the road, that's a big win for Iowa State because that was a very partisan home crowd in Milwaukee.
No doubt. I think your statement of him, of Otzelberger getting some of those Coach of the Year votes, yeah, I think he's going to pile up a bunch of those. And the candidates you mentioned are definitely on the list, and we can throw in Arizona as well. All right, so Mike, after the Texas Tech Notre Dame, did you feel like Notre Dame was going to be that hot team, that the playing game, and then go ahead and get a couple wins, and then boom, they end up there? I felt like they were destined to be that team after they won on St. Patrick's Day, but Texas Tech takes destiny into their own hands and makes free throws down the stretch, huge defensive stops, and bothered Wesley on the last couple of possessions.
Yeah, bothered Wesley. That was it. But I agree. Grabbed the 8 points right away. Texas Tech blowing out Montana State in the first round was great because I think we got a couple extra points of value in this line. Playing game narrative always gets hot. That's what it was. And I took all at the TCU corollary. TCU beat Texas Tech late in the year. How'd they do it? They shot the three well, and they were one and done on the boards. People don't realize that Notre Dame is also top 50 in the country in defensive rebounding. So I thought they could stick with Texas Tech. I needed a bad offensive game from Texas Tech, which I got, and I needed them to make some threes, which I got. Texas Tech 22-13 this year against the spread, but that was really bolstered by their 14 of 16 covers in the middle of the year. They failed to cover 5 of their last 7 games, and Notre Dame was also 19-15 against the spread. Too many points. I thought it was Texas Tech by 3. It lands on Texas Tech with 5. Great job by Mike Bray. Great year. Texas Tech moves on. They're a dangerous team, but they do struggle to score, and Notre Dame really had this game, but again, couldn't produce down the stretch.
Agreed. Texas Tech defensive presence is a real thing, and their switchability at every position on defense and superior coaching. Substitution late in that game, they bring in Santo da Silva, and he comes in and gets a block in one of the final offensive possessions.
And he made 2 free throws.
And he made 2 free throws. And he's, at best 50% free throw shooter.
Oh, I love the
super impressive, substitution there. So talk about Coach of the Year. I mean, we could throw that.
Mark Adams, great job. Adams, great job. Yep.
How about Houston, Illinois? Do we want to talk about another possible Coach of the Year?
Yes. Let me go first here on this one. I have so much to say. I sat down last night with a bourbon after my brutal day, and I said,
great choice, by the way.
I go, okay, what is my gut reaction to this game? And my gut reaction was Houston's a higher seed. They're getting 4.5 points. And I said, okay, now that we know that's the gut, let me go deeper. Here are some numbers, partner, and I put this on the live stream. To me, this was the automatic pick of the day. Ready? Okay. Kelvin Sampson versus non-conference teams while at Houston, 36-23. That's 60% against the spread. Kelvin Sampson versus non-conference teams as a favorite, 28-19, 60% against the spread. Kelvin Sampson versus non-conference teams as a favorite by 1 to 6 points. A close favorite, 12-4, 75% against the spread. In those games, partner, last 8, Kelvin Sampson, 8-0. In those games, partner, last 11, Kelvin Sampson, 10-1. Houston against the spread this year, 66%. Last 9 games, 8-1. Look, I know it's a lot of numbers, but this reeked to me of when Shaka took Texas into Kansas. And my gut reaction was, it's got to be Kansas. And then I look at the numbers. I go, Shaka's undefeated against the spread at Fog Allen while with Texas. And that's exactly what happened. They were begging you to take Illinois. To me, it was Houston morning, noon, and night. They're just great in these spots. And Illinois barely beat Chattanooga, and Kofi Coburn isn't a great free throw shooter. How is this going to happen? I didn't see it. Nice one for the Cougars.
And I felt like it was an interesting move that they Illinois decided to play a couple of those freshmen over Curbelo when the game was in balance.
Yep.
And it fell completely out of balance for the Illini. Totally impressed with Shed. Jamal Shed is one of my favorite players in college basketball. I love this guy. Yes. So he had 12, 7, and 3 against UAB, and I liked UAB in that matchup, so I'm an idiot. Like I don't know anything. And then he had 18, 3 assists, and 3 steals in this win. And that video of him picking up the garbage earlier this season is one of my favorite moments from the regular season. Yes. So great human being, great college basketball player. I'm on the Houston bus now. I like it.
Totally agree with you. Everything said. Amen.
All right. How about Miami? I'm not going to say what in the world because we've liked Miami a little bit here. And when we talked to our buddy Luke Neer, who's down in ACC country in Charlottesville, he was on board with the Miami love and liked the 3-guard alignment. Of course, he really adores Larrañaga as well. I can't even believe it. Like they made it look way easier than I thought they could. I thought this was going to be a 1-possession game, come down to the final minute. Those 3 guards played unbelievably well. Charlie Moore almost has a triple-double. Sheesh.
Yep, I thought it was going to be a 1-possession game. Also, grab the 7, love the 7 in this game.
Have to there, yes.
Yeah, but I certainly thought Auburn was going to win. 10 seeds, better winning percentage in NCAA Tournament history since the expansion in 1985 than they do over 7 seeds, which means if they get by the first round, there's a better chance they're winning the second game than they won that prior game. Larrañaga in the tournament doing what he does after with Mason, McGusty, Wong, and Moore. I put up on Twitter Wong with the slam on Jabari Smith. I mean,
impressive,
just incredible. They didn't put it with Jacksonville State away, which made me concerned. Auburn, Miami. I know it was the ACC World Down. They were number 1 in fewest offensive turnovers, Miami, in the ACC, and they were number 1 in turnovers forced. I thought they would not be turned over by Auburn, and they would turn Auburn over. Miami gets the outright win, a comfortable win with 7 points. Great job by Jim Larrañaga doing what it is. Gus, it came out 2 things I said. I was wrong about St. Mary's. That Mary's was overseeded. Not true. And I was right about Miami. I said Miami's way too underseeded as a 10 seed. Loved it in this game. Great win for Miami.
I love the points there, and even entertained them winning it outright and moving on. And by the way, that game against, I don't think they're going to be frightened playing Iowa State. No, like that seems like something that's like right up Larrañaga's alley. Nope. And then I guess the last 2 games are still underway and undecided at recording time. But we have Purdue and Texas. Purdue with a slight lead, and then TCU keeping things pretty spicy with Arizona thus far. Mike, any other further takeaways or any other places you want to take a look at for Thursday and or Friday?
No, I took Texas in the 3.5 here at 7 with 2 minutes left, so they're probably not going to get that cover. And I took TCU with 10 for the main reason that TCU beat Kansas and Texas Tech back-to-back, and they almost beat Kansas at the Fog in the subsequent game when Kansas had the Big 12 on the line. Gus, TCU, number 1 in the country in offensive rebounding. That's going to help against Arizona. And, by the way, they're shooting, 39.6% from point range the last 3 games. So I thought 10 was too much. Anyway, looking ahead for Thursday part, let me read the games to you that we got lines out for and give me your gut reaction.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I'll just get the lines are out. Haven't even thought about it yet, but I'll just read them to you. Let's see what we get. On Thursday, Gus, I got 3 so far.
Okay.
Gonzaga minus 8.5 versus Arkansas.
We really got to think about that one.
That's a lot of points.
You really got to think about that. Gut reaction. Game gets away in the second half. Notre gets into some foul trouble. Maybe Williams has trouble guarding Timmy and Holmgren down low. They're compromised roster-wise and fouls-wise. So I guess if a quick lean, maybe Gonzaga with a sneaky 10-point win in the second half.
I'm gonna take. I probably will take Arkansas. I may wait because this line could get higher.
Right.
I can make an argument for what's Arkansas on the money line here. Plus 330, you get 3-1. I just think I thought this was a rough road for Gonzaga. I'm going to stick to it. If they get it, good for them. Great job. I think they're going to bother their guards, but I will tell you something. That was a Superman performance from Drew Timme. Superman performance. Yeah. Just he was rolling.
Major mustache. Yeah.
Major mustache. Yeah. Nova -5, Michigan.
That's just the right number, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like Villanova.
I like Nova too. Yeah. I think Michigan runs out. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And last one we got for Thursday partner right now. I'm going to make you guess.
Ooh.
Duke, Texas Tech.
Huh. How about Duke, Texas Tech? How about if I say Texas Tech -0.5?
Boy, that is freaking disturbing, man. That's exactly what it is. Good for you. Yes. It's Texas Tech favored by a half point. Good for you, partner.
Wow.
Thank God. I feel like Terrell Owens. That's my podcast partner right there. Friday, man, I got 3 really quick. I'll give it 3 on Friday.
Yeah, let's do it.
KU -7.5 Providence.
Too much.
No more. Yep.
Too much.
UCLA -2 UNC.
I might look at the number there for over under
142. It's tough.
Man, that's good. They're good. There's big buildings there for a reason. Quick lean. I think I like UCLA to win it. So I'll take, if it has to be 2, it's 2. It's fine. And I would maybe lean the under.
If you do this one, I'm quitting. Give me the spread on Miami, Iowa State. Last one we got.
I mean, it's got what? It's got to be like Miami -1, right?
It's disturbing. -1.5.
1.5. All
He's
right,
good. Guys, this is my partner right here. He's good. I don't have a clue yet. I got to analyze that one. The over-under.
I mean, I like Miami there for the win. So if it's that tight, if the points are that close, then why not just, go with the money line there? But I don't think – you think that line's going to move anywhere? I don't think so.
I don't know. It opened at Miami -0.5 and has now been bet up. So money's coming into Miami. So people are betting Miami. They're always going to go against Iowa State. They just don't buy it yet.
Right.
The over-under is 133. I may go over on that because I think Miami really does push the pace and they can get some stuff up inside. So I don't know. Maybe I'll hit the over. That's all I got, partner. Let's close it up because we got 1:10 left and Purdue's up 3 on Texas. Right now they're covering, Gus. And Arizona TCU tied, of course, with 15 minutes left. So go ahead.
All right, let's go catch the end of those games so that we can talk about them on the next podcast, whenever that might be. If you really like what you're listening to, please give Mike a follow over at Randall Rant, and please tune in to his live shows on Betting Pros. You like what you're listening to here? Give the podcast a follow at SDS Podcast. Efficiency of keystrokes, of course. And you like what you're listening to? Don't be afraid to leave a nice, kind review on your podcast consumption vehicle of choice. Kindness is always cool. Mike, looking forward to the end of these 2 games and then catching up and trying to dissect and figure out what's going to happen in the Sweet 16.
Thank God we got 4 days off. I need a cigarette.
Cheers, Cilantro. Gatulazzi, everybody. Arigato.